Now, the first thing I want to go through today is the mobile-friendly website. So what we've completed, which basically started on November 1st, and it's been a 6-month project, ready to be deployed, ready to start, is both an Android app, an iPhone app, and a mobile-friendly website. The mobile-friendly website, if you access this URL right now, so if everyone wants to type in, they can actually see the mobile-friendly website. We use Toronto Tourism as our guinea pig, and the reason we did that as a test model, because Toronto Tourism actually has all 4 gateways going. When I say gateways into the system, you can book a room individually, a hotel room, you can book an experiential package, you can buy a ticket only without adding a hotel, and they also, in Toronto's case, they also still sell property level packages as well. So Toronto itself had a lot of complexity, so it was the perfect DMO to use as a test case. The URL that you want to type in is on the screens. It's reservations.ctorontonow.com/mobile. And I'm going to give everyone a chance to catch up. So how are we doing? Is everyone there? I have an extra iPhone. If anybody doesn't have a phone. Oh, we're good. Great. So when someone accesses the reservation system for Toronto Tourism, when this goes live, by default, they are going to be served up a mobile-friendly website. There will always be prompts where they can download the apps, but by default this will be there. And what you're going to find that, and of course, this is actually very much platform independent. It doesn't make a difference what you have, an iPhone, an Android, a Galaxy, or a BlackBerry. You can see this site. The key difference is really the size of the screen. Now, what I did for the purposes of this demonstration was to turn around. I made a series of screen caps. So what you see on the right-hand side is the default homepage for the mobile-friendly site. Now, on a client-by-client basis, what we'll be able to do is to change the color schemes. We'll obviously be able to change the headers across the top. If, for example, in the city of Ottawa does not sell attraction tickets by themselves, that one link at the very bottom, book attractions, would come off. We can add some of the advanced filtering onto that front page, but the challenge is we want to keep that front page with the minimal amount of scrolling, so that's the key determinant here. The mobile-friendly site, again, it's large buttons, easy to view, mobile-friendly navigational aids. Is everyone there? Any issues? I hear a yes, Rob?
I just got server time.
You did? Oh.
Just shows an activated Fairmont Royal York. Seems to be working again.
Okay.
Quick.
It is quick. I think if you actually push it, if you download, if you look at Expedia stuff, because they're doing the same thing we are. They're accessing inventory from a variety of sources. You compare the speed against Expedia or Travelocity's app, it's right there. All the functionality is there as well. What we tried to do was to pick the minimal amount of fields to show on that default screen, but we wanted to pick the most important ones. Again, if in a place like Ottawa or some of the other jurisdictions which are heavy into the third night or the extended stay discounts, on that default home screen, we can customize that. And you will see all your gateways that you currently sell in your DMO deployments available on the mobile platform. The hotels, experiential packages, tickets, property level packages. So now if I've entered in, I've done a search, what's going to be shown right next in the next screen is this type of a display. You'll see the hotels shown right here, one right after the other. And because it's a very small device, we wanted to make sure that the rates are communicated very easily, nice big numbers. If you click on that green asterisk, you're taken into the map view for that specific property. We did not lose any of the functionality, so all the hotels are plotted on a map. If you actually click on this icon up here, view hotels, that's the entire map view. That'll plot the entire result set on the map as well. After consumers actually hit this screen, you can resort the search criteria. Just like on the desktop version, you can turn around and resort it according to the alphabetical nature of the hotel names, pricing from low to high, pricing from high to low, a CAA rating. We've not lost any of that whatsoever. The consumers can toggle on the hotel photos. They can drill right into the hotel microsites. There's expandable text descriptions. So how are we doing? Has everybody had a chance to play with that screen a little bit? And it's loading in fast right across your devices. Yeah, we didn't give anybody a mobile wireless here. We wanted you to be able to test this on your own data plans. I think that's the true environment. If I would have clicked the map view, this is the screen that I would see. Again, all the individual hotels are plotted. Now, the key difference, when we go actually look at the mobile app compared to the mobile-friendly site, the major difference is really only in the maps, because the mobile apps use the mapping system which is native to the phone. When you actually go with your fingers and turn around and expand the map on the app, it's just seamless and quick. Here on the mobile-friendly site, we have to reach back to the server and wait for it to come down. It's a little bit slower. But the consumer can easily turn around, expand that map, put their finger over one of those green icons, and up pops the hotel, that location. And from there, they can click on that specific hotel to get deeper into that hotel listing. Is there any questions? Please, please, please. Yellow, neighbor.
John, is there a GPS application in that too, or a locational thing, so that it'll pick up from your phone? Can you book or find hotels nearest to where you are right now, or anything like that? Or is it conceived?
I haven't thought about it yet. I'm going to look back to our head techie back there. I don't see that being an issue. George?
Not yet, but
it can be done. Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that you can do with mapping. I think it's going to be advanced over the course of time. But, you know, right now our major concern was to get the very bare bones up and operational before we got into the fancy footwork, so to speak. After you click on that specific hotel, this is exactly what you're going to see. The hotel name and the information about the property is in that dark and blue area at the very top. If you click on the hotel picture, again, it's pulling all the photos out of the microsite system, so the consumer can still have a very, very strong visual environment. I think that's where we exceeded a little bit better than Expedia and whatnot. There is not as information rich. We are. We didn't sacrifice any of that. All the rooms which are for sale in the desktop version will be available on the mobile system as well. And you can turn around and click on that show details, hide details to see all the full amenities at that specific property. Go ahead and click on the room photos. And you'll see all the pictures which have been loaded into that specific room code be displayed. And once again, there's always a large book now button.
John, I guess the responsiveness of this mobile site also depends on the property being willing to take same-day bookings, right?
That's a good question. Well, in the back end of the system, every property has the opportunity to set their cutoff time. Now, once we go live on a DMO by DMO basis, I think part of the communication process back to the hotel here is to say, okay, now we've now engaged the mobile platform. You may want to turn around and improve, your communications to the system, or you may want to rethink, for example, what your cutoff times are.
Because we just got it 4 days in advance, message there.
Yeah, that's set on the property level.
Right, okay.
So again, this is part of the deployment process. I think the properties have to be a little bit more responsive in this day and age.
John,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to back out of the map, so, I didn't pick the hotel, and it won't let you back in. So as a consumer, it might be something to look at, so they can get back to their previous page.
Can we see Chuck, one second?
If it can be broken, I'm usually the guy that can.
It's the same guy who's been rattling papers.
That's right.
He's back here and stuff.
I'm definitely the back of the bus kind of guy.
What did you do, Chuck? You were at the,
I'm on the map page,
This one right here?
just, which one? That one there, and now I'm pressing, I want to go back to the previous screen. When I press back, it tells me that the page requested was created using form data. This page is no longer available. BlackBerry, maybe that's the problem.
Not sure what you did. But just keep it, Chuck. We got 1 more month to put the final install in.
Alright.
Yeah, I didn't get into that too much still, but this is really the beta version. We're not deploying this right away. We're going to give ourselves 1 month to do all the last minute testing and whatnot, and then we'll start deploying it. Pardon?
Yeah, we're gonna start.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Oh, good, it's not just mine.
So once I've actually chosen to grab a room, then I'm into the shopping cart. The shopping carts will appear as per the desktop version for each individual DMO. In each case, we've got these labeled differently. They look a little bit different. The way they're structured a little bit different, but we're not sacrificing that. So the consumer can get in right away and start to add their attractions on top of their hotel bookings. Once you've turned around, you've added tickets in. So go ahead and do that, please. I'll wait a couple minutes here. Yes, there is. And you can see you can actually easily add tickets, easily remove the tickets from the system. Stacia?
This is exciting, this is great. I'm wondering with Toronto being the test site, maybe Maxine could answer this. Are you going to do some tracking and assessment, refining, or game plan for?
We're just getting all the information you're getting right now.
Oh.
Yeah, Maxine hasn't seen this yet.
So I'm really sorry. We're just
Yeah.
exploring it ourselves.
Yeah, I think in a realistic world, Stacia, probably have Maxine and her team look through this, and we're going to do our last minute revisions as well too. And it'll probably be in 2 or 3 weeks we'll take it live with Toronto first. And then once you take something live, you start to see the real world usage. Once you're ready to check out, this is the screen you should be on. They're all mobile-friendly fields. I found the form fulfillment relatively easy, and I'm not really that great with a mobile device myself. And the one thing I did notice when I was playing with this on my iPhone, depending upon your phone, there is the capability for text suggestions, and that comes from the phone, not from us specifically. On this screen, there's going to be a little bit of scrolling. It needs to be because we are capturing a lot of information, but we try to minimize that to the bare minimum. So go ahead and play with that for a second. Sure.
When I've gone through the process, I'm at the stage where I'm trying to add an attraction ticket.
Right.
For some reason, when I go to select, it's telling me that the shopping cart is empty or already processed.
Oh,
And it's backing me up to the search page, which
Okay.
is the calendar, and it's like ground zero, like.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure what you did, so
Blackberry, I don't know.
it shouldn't be.
So you guys have Blackberry too?
I just don't understand it because
Yeah.
You're the uncool.
that's right.
Okay, well, duly noted.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead and you can play on the mobile site and maybe do a package booking for Toronto Tourism. You can see that gateway as well. If you back up to you click on their logo in the very top left-hand side, that'll bring you back to the default search page. And in this case, go ahead and make a package reservation. What was that?
Late or late, have you made?
Yeah, because Toronto has got a lot of theaters in their packages. Why don't you use a day of, say, May 15th or some point later in May?
John, while they're doing that question, what's the hygiene security certification that the consumer looks for when they hit a mobile site? What gives them the confidence that this is secure and they can do that? What kind of tagging or badge do you put on it to make them aware of
Well,
that?
outside the SSL key, which is part and parcel of the desktop version, it's there. If it's an app, for example, all apps have to be approved by Apple. You go through that process of certification.
I'm thinking more on in terms of communicating to the consumer who hits you on a website. They just want some little encouragement that this is.
Well, that's
consumer
part
site.
of the overall, yeah, we could certainly put that icon, those icons into that desktop version at the very bottom, reiterate, you know, this is a fully secure system. You know, please feel free to throw your credit card details through the phone. I always wonder though how many people even care on a desktop. You know, we even look, you know, we're so used to today banging out stuff, throwing our credit cards in. I don't even look almost half the time whether the site's secure. It's almost a given.
It's the day it's not there and someone says, wait a minute.
What happened? Yeah, exactly. So George, now if we want to go into the apps, they'll have to download that app, right? Okay.
The link is on the photo of that.
I missed that. What was that?
The link is available on the photo of the mobile site.
Okay. So let me back up a couple stages right here. I'll show you.
That's where Android and
Here it is.
If you go down to the very, very bottom of the screen to the mobile-friendly site, there are your links for your corresponding iPhone and Android apps. You can go ahead and download those right now if you've got that type of phone. You want to see this? You got an extra one? Okay. Does anybody want to see the iPhone? Yeah. You good?
Like,
Never good.
never good.
You good? No, I'm saying I got the app here on the iPhone. I got an extra iPhone if you want to look at it.
When
Okay.
we're clicking that package, when you add attractions right now, it's not giving you the add, like you can't add particular.
Show him. Yes, no. When we access, yeah, that's a good question, Pam. When you access the booking engine, you're just going to see your case, Niagara Falls, New York, Niagara, USA. So those icons will be at the very bottom.
But if the consumer is looking for it.
That's a direct link to that specific app for your DMO.
So it's not in a Play Store, you know, a consumer searching for.
They'll all be labeled individually. So Niagara Falls, New York, hotel bookings, Toronto tourism, hotel bookings. They're all labeled individually. Because once again, they're going to look a little bit different. The initial page, that home page, is going to have a different color scheme for yourselves as opposed to Toronto, as opposed to Ottawa. And the functionality, the number of what's on the filters on that home page, the gateways, the will be different. So they're all labeled individually.
So we'll have some control over the tag words and things like that, so that when they're searching in the Play Stores or right on the left.
Yeah, you can suggest that, yeah. How are we doing on the downloads?
Done.
Good? We'll move on? Great. So what you're going to see right here, the apps are actually very, very identical to the mobile-friendly site. Once again, it's the same thing. We have the ability to customize even the app on this specific page according to the needs of the DMO. Again, if you don't sell attraction tickets, it won't be on this page. In the case of someone like Ottawa Tourism and a few other jurisdictions which are very strong at selling the third night packages, we will definitely add that checkbox onto this page. Much like the whole mobile-friendly site, very, very similar. What we've got here is the ability to do the navigation is actually at the bottom of the page. The sort by, the map, the modify. I believe the app version already has the full hotel microsites built in, right, George? Not for the mobile friendly, it's there, but the app is coming very shortly, right? If we move on to the next step. Again, similar to the mobile friendly, consumers can check out or they can add additional attractions to the booking. And I'll give you a second to catch up. Yes.
You mentioned that the hotel level packaging is also.
Yes.
How taxable?
Well, you can't create, like in your case, you have the categories. So for example, on the default homepage, you can turn around and still have that drop down showing those various categories. So the consumer can go in there and search for hotel level packages based on those categories.
So if I wanted a spa package, I would click on that category, maybe 5 hotels are offering that, maybe this.
Exactly.
The package descriptions come off.
Exactly.
So it would be similar, it just would be a bit of a different.
Almost identical to the desktop version. Toronto still has property level packages. Their emphasis on experiential packages, but there's still, I know there's 1 or 2 there. Yeah, not very many, but they are there. Quebec City's into property level packages, yourself. So they'll all be there. It's fully bookable. On the mobile app, easy to check out. You can bang through those form fields very, very simply.
John,
Dave?
question. The mapping in Toronto, is it based on street address or longitude and latitude?
Where the hotel's pinpointed? It's always with the geocodes.
All right, can we do the exact same thing on our desktop mapping systems then?
That's where we're pulling it from.
I'm just thinking in our region, we're not doing it, we need to do that.
No, we're based on geocodes.
Yeah. Pull up every single property right now?
Yeah, every property that you load in has to put the geocode on it. That's where Google's getting all their mapping coordinates from.
We
I'm
don't
not sure, is that what you were speaking to, or?
It is, I'm just thinking of an aggregate map page. We don't have one programmed into our hotel interface that says, show me where all these hotels are. So
On your desktop version?
I'm pretty sure we don't.
Yes, you do.
Do we? So you're gonna look.
Sure, it's there, it's there.
Unless if you're talking, you did.
Well, I'm just thinking of a region like Elora where you want to stand there and see what's within 3 kilometers of it. We'll have a look at it. Thanks.
Again, if we go down the experiential packages gateway, this is the type of screens we'll see. So it's a little bit different now. This is the only slight variation from the desktop version. So if I was to turn around and try to buy an experiential package with Toronto Tourism, typically in the desktop version, we're loading all the packages, we're searching the availability of the inclusive components and the optional components, we're displaying them as per each package. On the desktop version, that page can get very, very long. We don't have that luxury here. We want to keep the scrolling down to the bare minimum for the consumers. So what we're doing is we're displaying the name of the package, the photo, and this little text link, view description. When the consumer, if you actually right there right now and you click on that view description link, that package description will have to be very, very communicative to the consumer. And this is something George and I talked about last week, because typically you've been instructed in the past to turn around and make those package descriptions generic as possible, because the components are fully dynamic based upon the dates that the consumer is entering into the system. So if you had a theater package, if I picked May 1st, I may end up with one set of results for optional components, because certain shows are only playing between April 25th and May 15th. If I tried that same package for June, a totally different set of theaters might show up. Now, there's really 2 solutions to this. If we re-instruct you now to be far more detailed in your package descriptions, to list the components in the description themselves, and say with a caveat, depending upon the date, these items will be available in your package. That is one solution. The other option for us is to add yet another package description into the back end, and we'll label that for mobile platform only. So you have 2 types of descriptions in there. One specifically for mobile, one specifically for desktop. So either or solution, we're going to give that some more thought. But for us, that really doesn't cause us that much more grief to add that second level of description, and it might be far more practical for a mobile solution. That way, we keep the 2 separate. Once again, go ahead, if you haven't done so already, start to add some components in via the app.
John, when I go to this stage and I try to add, it keeps telling me that I needed to add it to pick and you have added it to it.
Yeah.
George?
Is that BlackBerry?
Yeah.
I think that's the
That's
problem.
the wrong channel.
Yeah.
Okay, stop asking me.
Yeah, but you're on the mobile-friendly site still on a BlackBerry. Yeah. How are we doing with the apps? Everyone's adding tickets?
Android is great.
Yeah, it's quick and it's fast. And again, the speed is that all the processing was done on the server, and that's why we took that extra time to build that middle layer, that whole API system in there. So it's quick to download, it's very responsive, it's actually faster probably than Expedia's apps. The next step, obviously, checking on that button, Next Step Hotel. After you add the tickets, this is where you would get there. You should have had this screen open from the mobile app. And your checkout. So now, with the mobile devices, once again, we've got a beta version up and operational. We're going to take the next 2 or 3 weeks, test it all ourselves. We'll give each one of you the opportunity to go through that. You know, we'll solicit your feedback as well, the experiences that you've had. We'll make our final adjustments in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then what we'll do is we'll take it live first in Toronto Tourism. There's a lot of traffic that comes into Toronto Tourism, so we'll get a lot of valuable consumer feedback. Maxine is on the phones there speaking to consumers, so we get a lot of feedback specifically from them via her. We anticipate going live June 1st on a DMO by DMO basis. The installation per DMO we think is going to be approximately 1 week to 10 days. And as this whole mobile world just continues to evolve, there's always going to be that ongoing maintenance and upgrades. You know, we can't predict what Apple's going to do in the next 6 months or what Samsung's going to do. Definitely there's going to be more functionality. The phones are getting bigger. It's turned into a very crazy world. You know, 3 or 4 years ago, I liked it. It was a lot better. The screens were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they're getting smaller and smaller, so we got everything in between. So it puts a lot of stress on the development team to maintain these different versions. And what we've had to do is hire specific developers. You know, one guy is very well versed on the iPhone platform. The next gentleman's very well versed on the Android platform. It's difficult to find one developer who is going to be good right across all platforms. Yes, because each one of the apps, as well as the mobile-friendly websites, will be custom tailored according to the device. So if you access from your iPad or a tablet, it'll be customized for that. It will be responsive. Yes, it'll be, George is designated in the back end. It's a mobile booking, right?
Yes.
You'll see in all the reports that did come from a mobile device. Because we want to see that as well. Because we see the statistics. Some of you have come back to me and said, well, our Google Analytics is showing that we're getting about 25% of our traffic from a mobile device. Now the real question is, how many of those are going to translate into last-minute bookings? I truly believe that the consumer is going to use the app and the mobile-friendly website as a research tool. They'll scroll through that. They'll do all that research. I'm hoping that they will actually conclude the transaction on the app to give us a sense of legitimacy for all our hard work. But I don't really know. I think they might just turn around and say, okay, I've got the room rate right here. I know the availability is there. They may just turn around and click on that phone link and bang, they start calling the hotel. In a way, we've provided the service to the consumer. We may not get the ultimate credit for it, which is a little bit discouraging. But I do believe, again, it'll be all designated, it'll all be linked in to say it came from a specific mobile device.
So John, under the reports, we'll show it under the affiliate column?
Yeah, probably, we'll put it there.
Would you be able to tell what device they would work on?
Whether it's a tablet or an iPhone.
From a research perspective.
George, can we show which device?
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. So how do we'll know if it's an Android or an iPhone app. George, will we know which version? Whether it's coming from an iPad?
Yes, we can.
We know if it's coming from an iPad as opposed to an iPhone.
Yes.
Even the versions of phones, 4 or 5?
Yes, we are recording the user age, which is what the browser they use or what device they use. We are recording now. So we have which version, what.
Okay. So there you are. Full details, every device, every platform available, so we'll know what they're using. 2 questions in the meantime, and 2 really valid things come up. In terms of the attraction vouchers, of course, through the desktop version, everybody is at home, sits and prints off all these vouchers. The vouchers are nice and large. They're almost taking up a full size of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Of course, they're custom branded according to the DMO. In this particular case, if the consumer is on the road or he's just sitting outside the hotel and he buys a package with vouchers, they're going to have on the confirmation page, they'll have those links so they can turn around and enlarge and show to an attraction. These are the vouchers that I've picked. Naturally, the consumer is going to use his own email address during the booking process, and that email confirmation once again has all those attraction buttons where they can go ahead and just click on those buttons, and that voucher will be present on the phone itself. if there's any attractions which are using a barcode system, again, Canada's Wonderland does in Toronto, Darien Lake does from Niagara Falls, New York, those barcodes should be 100% scannable via the phone. Yeah, Maxine?
What about the rest of them that are fake parcels? How do we handle that?
Well, what's the difference between someone, a consumer, showing that voucher via a screen and a piece of paper?
Because the piece of paper they use for us to invoice us back.
Oh, they're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is now going to be a procedural thing. And that happens, and some of the DMOs are using that. Some of the other DMOs are just paying to the attractions based upon the reports. You know, they let them keep the breakage. In this world where there's no paper copy of a voucher, what do? I'm not sure I really have a suggestion at this point. How do you record that? We know the sale's been done. We know the sale's been done via mobile device. So that now necessitates that we actually record and alter the billing reports as well too, that booking was done via mobile device. So you're the banker in this case. You're paying off to all your partners. It's too time consuming to ask the consumer somehow to print that off. It's just not feasible.
Is there a way to make not-dummy barcodes? Take active barcodes?
Well, those barcodes that are generated in the back end of our system are actual real barcodes. And I've used in the past dummy or fake barcodes, and they are real, but they're not being scanned by any museum. It's pointless. For most of the general attractions and whatnot, they're never going to get into scanning. It's a waste of time. Even at Niagara Parks here, they've had virtually no fraud for all their adventure passes, which are sold through third-party systems like ourselves or Expedia. So now it's really coming down to a billing issue. Does that force the culture of the DMO to change, where you're paying to the attractions everything that's sold, not just everything that's invoiced back to you? We've always recommended that you pay the attractions, your service partner, the entire amount. I personally don't think it's worth the time to turn around and count individual invoices from individual attractions. You'll spend more time accounting that as opposed to just paying the operators based upon the reports. That might be difficult for a lot of organizations based upon their cultural accounting process to change. So once again, what we can do is in all the billing reports, designate the mobile bookings. And if you just choose to use a hybrid system, for example, you're taking back all the paper invoices and pay the attractions based also on the mobile bookings. That's the only alternative. I don't really know what we can do. That's a billing change. Joel?
We are seeing more attractions moving to wanting to use the codes.
Okay.
And as well, I guess the other piece of it, we want to give the consumer an advantage for having booked with us. And that advantage when they show up, they don't have to wait through regular lines. They can be scanned, barcoded, and in. So some of the bigger and busier attractions are now starting to press us. They don't want to do vouchers.
Okay.
Vouchers, they got to get it in a cash statement. It's complicated at their gates. So we're getting inklings. It's kind of like the first wave, but I think we're going to see it much more strong.
But how would that, okay, let's say for example that attraction on the current desktop version, I'm going to make a booking right now in Tourism Toronto. We get into one of these attractions. I've got a paper printed voucher. Now if someone's got that, you can communicate to the consumer right away through the front end of the system on the voucher disclaimer notices. You know, this gets you to the head of the line. Show this, you're going right through. Now the same type of communication will be visible on the voucher on the mobile system.
So we're hearing two things. One, they don't want to deal with the voucher. One thing, they give us in front of the line, but then their own staff have to deal with the accounting on that voucher.
I would just pay the attractions based upon the reports. Let them keep the breakage. I personally think you spend more in accounting trying to collect all that paper as opposed to just run the report, pay it out, let them keep all that breakage. That's the way to go.
But I think they're not worried about breakage, they are worried about fraud. They're worried that someone will come in, 2 people will come in with the same, 5 people will come in over the course of 2 days with the same cause. They don't care about breakage.
Okay.
They've got their own issues about trying to make sure they're not getting scammed.
we can take anyone's numbers. Like, again, we do it for a number of attractions. If they've got their own barcoding system, give us a block of numbers.
And that's the answer right there.
Yeah.
If they're that concerned about it, give us the blocks, and then you load them in, and it's all good.
Exactly. Once that consumer, right now, if I buy that ticket to Canada's Wonderland through Toronto Tourism, I walk through that gate, I can print off multiple copies. That second copy will not work because it's been annulled in their own host system. So that is the solution. Again, I think for a lot of smaller attractions, museums, again, the effort to try to combat a minimal amount of fraud is not worth it. It's almost like shoplifting, you know. You know it's going to happen. You go spend an extra 10 or 20, 30% of all your budget to stop, you know, 1 or 2 tickets per year. It's not worth your time. Just, you know, let that guy get it. It's not fun, but it's a part of doing business. Now, the other thing that came up, I think Suzanne just mentioned to me during the break, is, for those who are not familiar, Suzanne is the head of the organization which actually manages all the travel information centers in the province of Ontario. And she asked me, well, here is their sort of intended use of the mobile system. I thought this was a great idea, is that their counselors, you know, potentially be walking along the park area here or in downtown Toronto. You know, traditionally the consumers had to go to the office. By having a counselor, probably known as some type of an official uniform, plus they can be walking on the streets with tablets. So what do they do when they make a package booking, which includes attraction tickets in a hotel for a consumer who's standing in the corner of Yonge and Dundas, or right here in Niagara Park, right opposite this hotel? And once again, the solution for her team would be to turn around and use the consumer's email address. Now that works, I think, you know, I don't have the stats. I would suspect at least 80% of all people now have a phone. I have no idea what that actual number is. But ultimately, they've made the booking on behalf of the consumer. They facilitated their role in trying to help them find information to buy a product in the city. The confirmation goes to the consumer's smartphone. They've got all their vouchers, they can print them off. The counselor would show them how to do that. It's highly unlikely the counselor is going to drag along a mobile printer, as this is not feasible. But if the consumer does not have an email address, then that becomes a little bit more problematic. All the vendors are notified in the purchase process as to the nature of the booking. Every attraction, which is part of the process, every service is part of the process, has that notification. But we can't require them to monitor those reports every 5 minutes. That's not going to happen. Do you want to say something, Tim?
Well, I was just thinking about how, you know, when you return a rental car and they print out the receipt for you.
Right.
Now when you're in a restaurant and they print out a receipt when you pay. Is there some way to do that? People put it on the street that they can just get a receipt with the code on it? Like if they don't have a phone.
Well, that rental car is a specific device. Yeah, I know. He's got that big unit right there. He punches in a few things. You haven't damaged the car, bang. He prints that off right there. That's a custom tailored device for one specific need. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have a solution. I wouldn't know what to do.
I guess if you're dedicated to being on the street doing reservations like that, there should be some code or number or something that they can give the person that they're talking to.
Well, the confirmation number's there. They can record that. If they're on the street, for example, you can turn around and record the confirmation number, certainly for the hotel. That's usually good enough. Right there. That's dead on. Now, if you're getting into attractions like that, a hotel plus a couple of attractions, well, there's a confirmation number yet again. It's in the reports of every attraction, but those attractions aren't going to be monitoring those reports. It's not practical. So you can turn around. One possible solution, I just thought, like right now, if Suzanne's team is walking around, there's no reason she cannot have a paper memo pad branded according to the OTMP. This is an official thing. And then her staff can write that down on behalf of consumers. It's signed. You know, they could be numbered in sequence. It looks very official. All the attractions are now advised you can take this as in lieu of a ticket. That's the only other mobile solution I've got. Suzanne?
Most of the reservations are coded, so there is a confirmation code. So that would be one way of doing it, or have the consumer take the code.
Yeah.
But it's easy for you to have a notepad,
Yeah.
nothing more than this notepad right here, just the size.
Yeah.
It's all branded according to you, official reservation receipt.
That's right.
You turn around, you record every single detail of the booking, the hotel, the confirmation number, the attraction, the confirmation number.
Yeah.
This serves as that receipt, paid in advance.
Yeah.
Most of them have phones, but for, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be a portion, you know, their phones might be down, they left it at home, or they simply don't have the phone.
Or they don't want to give you their email.
Or they don't want to give you their email, that's another issue right there.
Yeah.
So this little ticket, which is written on the fly, I don't know, I think that's a legitimate solution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's part of the communication process. And then again, it comes down to how aggressively is your organization going to be out on the street.
Yeah.
It makes you far more visible, I think it's a great idea.